People who act less intelligent than you really are. Why? Life is easier if people think you're stupid. No one expects as much. At my last 2 jobs I didn't play dumb. I was overworked. Everything was pawned off on me constantly. This job I play dumb. I get to do just my job and nothing else. I go home with no stress. The horrible truth. In many jobs being good at it is a bad thing. You're still gonna get paid the same as the people who just coast through the week while having to do more work than them. Better to pretend you're dumb and pleasantly surprised than to pretend you're smart and disappoint. It's the old technique of lowering expectations to the point you literally can't fail. Underpromise, overdeliver. Because less intelligent is less threatening. Likewise, acting smart all the time gets so tiresome for the people around you. I already have an airhead personality, so it's really easy for people to think I'm less intelligent than I am. I worked with this guy that would always use me as his scapegoat or tell everyone in the office if I messed up. If I did mess up, I could hear him telling my boss. That's how loud he would talk. It never really bothered me, but I thought it was funny, so when I was with my coworker I would really act dumb or be confused really easily. It would hurt his ego so much to be paired with someone so dumb like me. Then one day I went to talk to the boss for a meeting. This was a nice man expecting to see all a dumb girl my coworker had made me out to be. But no, I gave him a full office breakdown, a good report, talked about one of our upgrade systems and a few other things. He was pleasantly surprised and tried to find a polite way to ask why he had heard such bad things about me. You mean my coworker says I'm an idiot? Yep, I shrugged. He just likes to pick on me when he messes up. My boss thought it was funny, and I like to think it showed him never to just listen to the loudest person in a room. So after that, I would wait for my coworker to make a comment about me in front of the whole office, and I would go to my boss and turn in a report that wasn't due for a few days, or finish a task that my coworker said wouldn't be done until next week. Or my coworker would tell my boss that I messed up a contract and I would show him, nope, my contract is done. What about yours? My coworker was confused and couldn't understand how ditzy old me was doing so well sometimes. My boss gave me an award that ended up getting me promoted. My boss also worked really hard setting me up in my next role to make sure I got a good office to work in. I really enjoyed my time there with that boss and coworker. In the end, I was lucky my boss didn't listen blindly to my coworker about me, and I had a good time there and in my next office. Update. Corrections and spelling. I'm good with computers, not writing. I feel like I've heard the other side of this story so many times on Reddit. So many people here complaining about their stupid coworker getting ahead of them. I think a large portion of those stories are closer to this. I had a stroke and often find it difficult to communicate. I have found that people assume I'm stupid or don't want to be engaged, when in fact I have a master's degree and just can't respond or speak in that particular moment. Because explaining myself, I get a lot of anxiety and it's easier to let someone else do it. I typically find that if I come across as not knowing much, I'll either learn more from someone else, get a different viewpoint on a subject, or they'll fall over themselves and then I'll know not to trust that person's intellect over mine. Or they think you're an idiot and tell you everything. This is me. I can't explain what I am thinking 99% of the time, and I come across really awkwardly, so I just stay quiet, which just as awkward most of the time as now I find it really hard to start or carry on a conversation. If I'm negotiating for something expensive, like a new car, I have no problem playing the ignorant one. I've asked how much could be saved by removing the sunroof. A fool who is in no hurry is tough to beat. I don't act less intelligent, but I usually pretend I know less about certain topics than I really do. I don't want to drag a conversation into an area that the other person isn't familiar with. I usually will just assume the person I'm talking to knows more about the subject than me, because they probably do, and go from there. Not so much intelligent, but I have a really good memory and I hold back a lot on it because it can weird people out when you remember random things that happened months or years ago. This right here freaks my husband out every time. I have to pretend not to remember things. People just expect too much of you if they know you're more intelligent than you let on. Going through school, some random teacher who didn't know me at all marked me as exceptionally gifted in kindergarten because I had to show her old butt how to use a computer. Cue them putting me in all the advanced courses. treating me entirely differently. If I ever got less than a B on a test or paper, I was grounded and had all my toys, video games taken away for a week. I was constantly told that I was better than other kids, when really, my only talent is the ability to blindly regurgitate information that I've only heard once or twice. Doesn't mean I understand it or care about it. Also, side rant, we need to stop pushing intelligence to mean strictly book intelligence. The adults that I grew up around seem to think that if you're good at academics, you're good at everything, and I was constantly a disappointment to them when I was merely average at something, or worse, just simply couldn't give a flying rat's behind about something they were trying to cram down my throat. In the adult world, it's the same strategy as giving less than your best at work. Give about 75% effort. So if you have a day where you're struggling and only give 50%, it's not out of the ordinary. But if you have a day where you need to make an impression for a promotion or raise, give 100%. With intelligence it's the same thing. People expect something that's going to be substandard, and when they get a decent product back from you, they're pleasantly surprised, and you end up looking better than if they already thought well of you and you gave them a product that only met, but did not exceed their expectations. Something, psychology. They remember the positive feelings they get with being pleasantly surprised a lot more strongly than they'd ever associate the mere okayness of getting the pristine product that they already expected from you, because they knew you were smart. Overall, it's just easier. People take more time with you to explain things if they don't think you're as smart, so you get better training. They'll help you out with tasks that you might have been otherwise left to solo. Life is a lot easier when you're not constantly a disappointment for not living up to people's pristine expectations of your perfection. Years of conditioning. It's bad to be the smart kid in school. Even as adults, people can get defensive and nasty when they think you're smart. Sometimes it's easier to just pretend you don't know what's going on than to deal with someone else's insecurities. Pretty sure that's the actual plot of Matilda. Intelligent people who show off how intelligent they are can be really annoying and condescending. It's like an adult beating a 6-year-old at Mario Kart every time because they want to be fair. Just chill the frick out. Like competitive dad from the Fast Show. People generally feel threatened by smart people. I'm not saying I'm smart, but I pay attention to detail at work and make few mistakes. I could tell my co-workers started to envy me for this, so occasionally I'll purposely make a small error so they can't take a jab at me. Showing you're smart isn't fun, and living like an average Joe is easier and more rewarding, and it's easier to meet expectations or go above if you don't show your full potential always. Plus more compliments about it. Acting dumb has more benefits than acting smart most of the time. Lower expectations, less consequences for being wrong about something, and it's a lot more entertaining. I'm more relatable this way. If I act like I'm smart, it is off-putting to people. I will be open about something if I'm knowledgeable about something relevant to the conversation, though. I'm not really that smart though, to be completely honest. Because you refine your knowledge by letting people explain things in their own way to you. If you are a know-it-all, nobody will help you because you give off the impression of not needing it. I wanted to say to see what they know, but that sounded full of myself, but what you said is what I meant. I'm always interested to see how people go about stuff. I'll let someone explain things I already know because maybe there is a piece I forgot or overlooked before. A. Sometimes you need to let something be someone else's idea to get things done. B. Sometimes it's okay to let someone else teach you something, even if you already know it. You might be surprised when you actually do learn something, or you might just give someone some nice endorphins by letting them feel useful or needed or impactful. C. Sometimes you can come off as a blowhard or know-it-all. I'm not saying you have to dumb everything down, and having informed conversations is exhilarating, but sometimes it's just nice to be pleasant and let other people be right. And that, my friend, is humility. I'm not sure if this qualifies because I didn't do it on account of being super intelligent, but I was raised by 2 scientists and the things we talked about weren't normal family stuff growing up. Basically, I was raised by nerds to act like a nerd, so I had to learn to fit in once I was older. because no one ever wanted to talk to me. It took a few years to figure it out. Most people don't want to get into conversations about the origins of ancient civilizations and such. That's my experience at least. Most people don't want to get into conversations about the origins of ancient civilizations and such. Oh, how I wish they would. Such interesting conversations are to be had around this topic. Pretending to be dumb will get you out of trouble a lot. Also, people of authority don't like being wrong, so could delay potential advancement. Because you never show your hand. Playing dumb shows you who you can trust. Those who don't take advantage of you are the ones you keep. I act less knowledgeable on certain subjects because they more often than not end up with the other person falling out or arguing with me. I have always taken great care when it comes to believing in what I say, and with that comes countless hours of research on more than one side of the points in question. Unfortunately, not many other people extend the same courtesy before entering the conversation, and these people tend to not be open-minded towards the whole picture and just resort to arguing. I have only found a small handful of people with whom I can have a constructive conversation about such delicate subjects, so I just steer clear of having a public opinion on them altogether. I have ADHD, which makes it harder for me than a lot of people. To get the grade I want, I have to work harder a lot of the time. It's not necessarily that I'm pretending, but rather that I feel dumber. I'm actually quite smart, but my confidence gets in the way. Because of the way I look, I generally find it easier to act a lot more ditzy than I really am. I'm a tiny blonde girl. I love makeup and I'm always well dressed, put together. I have no problem with being typically girly. Because of this, people usually expect me to be a dumb blonde. Honestly, I just go with it most of the time. It's more fun to be able to joke around and interact with people when I don't feel like I have to prove my intelligence. I feel like people will try to catch me out if I start acting like I'm straight out of our not luckier third years. Plus, it's always fun to see people's reactions to finding out that I actually know a lot more than they think I do, lol. If I pretend to be dumb, then they'll figure out I am pretending eventually and assume I am actually smart when I am really just slightly less dumb. Honestly, as someone who is naturally super blonde, I laugh and dong around all the time and I'm busty, so most people just assume I'm dumb. Honestly, it's easier to let it happen that way. I'm not constantly being questioned or asked to prove that I'm not dumb, because I've been in many situations where I let my intelligence out and people still don't believe it. Trying to correct everything wrong you hear is exhausting. If people are aware of your knowledge, they will ask you to do stuff. Also, I'm lazy. I'd rather not be called on in class or asked for a reliable answer for a question. Plus, I'd rather not sound like a prick trying to be smart. It's not even that I act less intelligent. I have an idea about a lot of things, but being intelligent doesn't qualify you to know every answer. It probably comes off that way because I don't intend to answer or postulate without knowing for certain. That's how we end up with a bunch of people spouting nonsensical information. As far as I'm concerned, being intelligent is knowing that your knowledge is limited and IQ has no bearing on information. I've also tried being the smartest guy in the room, knowing all the answers, and trying to be the best. Once you achieve that, congratulations, you've just stunted your own career because you're willing to do more for less. Lay low and concern yourself with only things that involve you. There is no good that can come from being the go-to guy. I'm more or less a grunt in the military. If the people around me knew that I had 2 degrees, I would be the subject of endless ridicule. Plus, if people know that you are educated, you are constantly under the microscope and scrutinized for the things you say and do. No thanks. It's not about how smart you are, it's about how well you can explain things to other people. Sometimes you need to simplify and streamline so that people can take all of the disparate parts and put them together into a whole they can understand. Sometimes that means taking things right back to basics. It's why R Explain Like Him 5 and R Out of the Loop are so popular. There's always someone, especially on Reddit, who's braced and ready to tell you that you haven't considered every possible counter-argument. But even though they're often right, sometimes it's better to focus on the hundreds of people who are learning the basics rather than the 1 or 2 people who really want to get into the weeds on a topic. Not least because they are usually using it as an intellectual pee contest anyway. Several reasons. 1. Set expectations low so nobody ever asks you to do insane crap. 2. When you do have a chance that makes you look smart, people are actually impressed and it's not the norm. 3. Fewer people think you're arrogant. 4. Very few people are smart in the same way as others. Everyone is smart about something else and will have to dumb it down for people who aren't versed in that topic. I know nothing about gardening. My best friend's girlfriend is a botanist and had to help me not kill a cactus. To me, she is a genius. To others in her field, normal. Because I choose to be happier than I really am. Unfortunately, the more intelligent you are, the more likely it is that you are more depressed. And I don't want to bring people down with me, so I act silly and happy and make people laugh more. What a wholesome response. 1. You don't come across as a know-it-all. 2. You surprise people when you add meaningful information to a conversation. 3. It's fun not to explain crap 24/7. 4. You have an excuse when you mess things up. As a black guy, telling people facts about something like the Enlightenment is seen as a way of acting white because everyday people wouldn't expect me to know facts about those topics. It happens a lot within our own race because we, specifically my peers, like to stereotype and put our own people on a spectrum to indicate how hood we are. Oh, you listen to indie music? You ain't black, bruh. Sometimes it's just to avoid to get extra work assigned to me at my job. Sounds lazy, but hear me out. I work in industrial crap. The moment you show initiative, drive, or just above average intelligence, you get extra work added onto you. They'll add more and more stuff to your daily task list, and when you ask why Joe Blow, who makes the same if not more than you, doesn't have to do the same, they'll straight up tell you it's because they don't think he is capable or competent enough. So you get to watch Joe Blow mosey around while you pick up the slack, all for the same pay. It's not worth it. I'm tired of people asking questions 24/7. I have things to do as well, and I'm not here to live your life for you. Google it for frick's sake. Throughout my entire academic career, people have constantly asked me for help. Professors have volunteered me to tutor other students if they need help outside of class without asking me first. I don't mind helping others, but it's frustrating to feel like I'm held to a higher standard. Also, a lot of the time I need help myself and people don't seem to believe me, so now I just say I don't know even if I do. I don't really act dumb, but I choose the easier classes. But I do this because the people in applied are more fun than academic. At work, I don't get bothered or talked to about important stuff. I just do my job well and go home absolutely stress-free. To fit in, and because sounding smart doesn't make you intelligent. Intelligence also does not mean you need to sound smart. The people who stop you mid-sentence to correct your grammatical error only like to think they are intelligent. All they know is that singular area of knowledge, and they feel they must demonstrate their prowess of said area at every opportunity. It's sort of like a short and scrawny guy always trying to prove himself. He acts tough and challenges larger people to fights because he feels he has to prove he's a man. Whereas large guys rarely ever want to get in a fight. They have nothing to prove. Also, if you try to sound smart, you come across as pompous and unapproachable. Your ideas can be communicated just as effectively without sounding like a pompous douche. Everything is much easier. People underestimate you, so when you perform average you get praised. Giving 50% so everyone thinks 50% is your best. Then you can comfortably give 75% and everyone loses their crap. Having a high IQ is like having a big dong. It's nice to have one, but most people don't want to see you to whip it out at a party. Elementary school, I put up a front that I was dumb, even though I was actually smart and people knew it, because I was in the gifted program. I did it simply because it was more fun. I still unintentionally act dumber than I actually am out of habit. Because I'm tired of everyone expecting perfection of me and always wanting to test me. I'm a fallible human being and just want that to be okay. All through school, people got excited every time I made a mistake and it was horribly demoralizing and cultured a fear of failure. But now that I've lowered people's expectations, they're easy to meet. I don't do it so much anymore, but when I was in elementary I was advancing pretty fast and got moved from first to second grade. I hated it so much and got bullied by the second grade kids who were most likely just intimidated and jealous, but I had no idea at the time. I was just doing me and people were suddenly just being buttholes for no reason, so I purposely started tanking tests and faking dumb so I could go back to my main grade. After that though, I tended to still do okay as far as learning, but I purposely did mediocre to bad in school until maybe 10th grade because my mom was convinced that I was a gifted kid. Which really doesn't mean jack crap in the long run and can really frick kids up if you don't explain to them what that really means, but for the longest time being smart was something I correlated with pain and suffering, so I just faked it till I realized how foolish that was too. It actually got really bad in middle school. I tried my hardest to flunk classes because my mom forced me to go to a magnet school across town where pretty much none of my elementary school friends went, and I hated it so much. But I eventually just got through it. I realize looking back that at that point I probably made a lot of really bad impressions on kids in my middle school. I don't think I was trying to be an butthole to them, but I really didn't want to be there. I think it's resulted in me being a tad too humble in my adulthood, but I've learned to not be a pushover about it as well. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.